Hey, it's me. Sorry, I gotta be a little quiet because my roommate is taking a nap, and I just woke up from a nap myself and discovered that part two, I froze, and then it was just me. Just one person commented that it looked that I was judging them, like an extended version of judging, and I thought that was kind of funny. So so I was gonna re-edit and stuff, figure out, but I don't know what happened, but like the original file is gone. And I think that's because I've been using like one of these, which is fine. But I think I accidentally thought that I put the file on this drive and then deleted the original on the computer, but apparently it actually didn't make it here, so I'm gonna have to refilm the second half. So I know some of you were like, that's an abrupt ending, and it's because I originally filmed it all in one, and then I clipped it in half because I was like, that's like a 22-minute video. I mean, that's a long video to like listen to me talk about symbolism and art and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'll just like cut it in half. But apparently the second half is gone. So anyway, and there have been some people who are like, "Oh, I want you to comment on this particular, scene or shot or whatever," and I'm not going to comment on all the shots from the end credits for a couple reasons. Number one, there's probably some that I didn't really see a lot of symbolism in there, or like the art. I was like, could be Albrecht Dürer, not sure. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that I'm missing. I just couldn't remember. So I just decided not to cover some of those. And then there's others. For instance, the last one, where I felt like if I really thought about it for a lot longer, that maybe I would ruin stuff for myself. So I just decided, like, I'm not going to look at those. So I really am only pulling a few clips out of the second half of the credits. So, all right. So here is the next scene that we're going to be looking at. All right. So I moved myself over so that I would have more room to edit. I guess it's on this side. Anyway, so this scene, when I was going through and like labeling everything, I labeled this guy as a creepy priest because he is very creepy looking. And I, it looks almost like it's Spanish. So like that's something that's pretty common in like medieval and Renaissance art in Spain. And by Renaissance, I mean like early Renaissance. I don't mean like the grand sweeping stuff. But anyway, like it's definitely like the dark lines. You can see his beard. And here in Kansas City, we have at the Nelson, which is our museum. It's actually really good. Um, there's You can clearly tell like the Spanish art as opposed to all the other stuff, because usually it's more drawn and gaunt, much longer thin faces. So I saw that initially and was like, man, that guy looks really Spanish. Like, anyway, um, so what really hit me with this one though is that, so you have this dude in the middle and he has his hands down. I can't show you down, but down, and he's like almost like comforting, or I mean, at least that's what you would initially think, like, or corralling or something. These individuals, like in the front, you've got those, I guess, smaller children. I mean, they're not children. Maybe they are. I don't know. Anyway, but smaller beings, smaller humans. And then you have obviously people that are flanking him, and I could tell that like there were individuals. It looks like different walks of life. I mean, it looks like you've got the guy with like the head covering and the medallions. You've got a woman who is like kind of praying a supplication. It almost looked the guy that's just to his left, or I guess left of him in the image to his immediate right. Anyway, that looks like he's got a beard and like almost like a a cap, like a paperboy cap. And then it looked like the guy just right of him has like, you can see it in like, it's not an ephod. I'm gonna make myself seem very, very, very um, unintelligent on this one. It's whatever the ancient Israelites, the priests of the the Levites, the whatever they wore, it had like different almost like stones or something that was on this vest essentially, and it kind of looks like that, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, needless to say, all these people look like they're from different walks of life, and I'm like, okay, so, and I almost kind of wondered because you saw like in the show how you have a bunch of different types of names, and that they all seem to be kind of living together. So I wonder if that has something to do with it. So anyway, he clearly has like the the outfit that looks very much like the papal robes on the front. So anyway, what really hit me, like the whole kind of swath of this, are the Last Judgment images. For instance, there's one by Fra Angelico, which he's Spanish, which I think is kind of interesting. Anyway, so where you have like the Savior, Jesus, in the middle, and then you have like all the saints kind of on either side of him, and then below are the normal Joe Schmo mortals essentially, and they're divided by like those who are going to heaven and those who are going to hell. And this part of the end credits just reminded me of the Last Judgment essentially, particularly when it scrolls down, you see that they're actually eating what looks like flesh. It actually kind of looks like human hearts or something. You can tell that they're sad about it. Like there's tears, there's blood dripping down, and if you look at the bottom part of the Last Judgment, it's hell, that they're actually like gnawing on their own arms and gnawing on flesh. And I was like, oh yeah, that kind of sounds a lot like, it kind of looks a lot like, you know, the credits. And so anyway, I wondered if that's what they were going for, where you have like the perceived savior in the front, and that he's kind of holding them together, the young people, and then like their sacrifice to get the savior essentially, or like the security, is death and suffering. I assume that's what the skeleton at the bottom means. Maybe not. I'm hearing or reading some people's comments. Maybe I'm way off. I don't know. But I think I'm pretty dead on when it comes to like art influences. I could be wrong though. But I don't think so. So also, here's some examples of the kind of that early to middle church kind of paintings. You can see that definitely they've got like those bold lines, and red is pretty prominent in Attack on Titan, and also in these images. So, which I find kind of interesting that the red has survived in these images. They clearly have not been in the sun, just because red is like such a fugitive color. And by fugitive, I mean like it bleaches out really quickly. Like the reds, they break down, they bleach out. So yeah, anyway, if you don't believe me, put out a piece of, is it red construction paper, and like put a cup in the middle of it, and then just like leave it out in the sun for a few days. Take the cup off, and you'll see that there's definitely like a dark spot in the middle, and it's just because red just bleaches out really quickly. So yeah, I'm a nerd. So anyway, so the next one, it's a really quick thing, and I'm sure it probably doesn't have anything to do with anything, but I find it kind of interesting. So here it is. So to me, this looks like early Greek writing. However, some people have said that actually there's some more Norse. So I'm going to look up Norse runes and see if maybe that's not what's going on. So it might be. Anyway, they looks kind of similar to Norse runes, but I think it actually looks more like ancient Greek, and not like the Greek we have today, but like ancient Greek. And the reason why I think this is because we were like, well, you had to look that up, and yes and no, I did. But I okay, so when I was in middle school, seventh grade, yeah, was it seventh? It might have been sixth. No, it was seventh because I had the woman whose hair was the color of Campbell's soup who gave me detention for sucking on a peppermint. I'm still bitter. Anyway, um, what, um, so while everyone was like in class, like flirting and talking or whatever, like I was just kind of a dork, and I noticed the front of the dictionary at the beginning of each letter, they would have like the evolution of that letter from cuneiform to like the Latin letters we have today. And anyway, so I saw like the ancient Phoenician, the ancient Greek, and all those, and I thought it was really cool. So I actually wrote down like all the early ancient Phoenician letters, and I would like write secret messages in ancient Phoenician or whatever. And obviously it's like a seventh grade version, and it's just using it as a special code. And I had a couple friends who were just as dorky as I was, and we all learned it together. So we'd like write notes to each other and like pass it along. Yes, this is before the days of text messaging, and I mean I didn't get my first cell phone until I was, oh gosh, I shared one with my mom when I was in high school, but I didn't get my own until I went to college. But so before that, we would obviously pass notes to each other, and because we were super cool, we passed notes in ancient Phoenician. So when I saw this, I was like, this kind of looks like that, but not exactly. And so I looked it up, and I saw that these look more like ancient Greek or something. It might just be gibberish. It might have been like pulling things from ancient Greece and then the runes. I don't know, but that's I don't know what that means, but there it is. I also caught that there was like the silhouette of an insect, and I don't know the significance of the insect. I mean, they're armored, they're resilient. They also like that might be a fly, so it could be that flies are attracted to death. Um, I don't know, but I just saw that. I was like, oh, there's an insect outline there. Yeah. Okay, so the last one I'm going to talk about is actually this one. It's clearly, it looks like you have obviously had like pilgrims, like the people, and they're marching, and you had like the refugees, and but in this one they look like they're walking towards the light, and that could be either they're walking towards the afterlife or they're walking towards like hope for the future. I don't know, or maybe it's something else. But what I did notice is that, excuse me, it's carbonation. Whoa. Anyway, but it did look like I was trying to think when I was watching them in the last reaction video where I was like, oh my gosh, it reminds me of this dude. Like, and I couldn't remember who it was. Well, I actually had to ask my mom. I was like, who's that guy that did the images that were biblical and all this stuff? And she's like, oh, John Martin. Yes, John Martin. So if you look at this stuff, he clearly has like the light focal point that kind of then just fades out to like the dark foreground. And I think it looks a lot like what they have the end credits. It's almost like if Albrecht Dürer and John Martin had a love child. That's what this would be. But I thought it was kind of interesting that all these are very biblical images, and I'm wondering if they use this as inspiration. I have no idea, but I do think that it's pretty similar. So anyway, yeah. I also caught the fact that there were blue flowers. They were kind of sepia tinted, but they're definitely blue flowers from season 1. And yeah, that made me think like, okay, like these still have significance. I mean, they could just be symbolic. If anyone knows what type of flowers they are, like that might be nice. Um, because I know that obviously um, the show does like symbolism, like the random pomegranate that just like appears out of nowhere um, when Elf Titan first makes his appearance. But anyway, yeah. So that's that. I decided not to really delve into the last one or the ones that involve like the big titans, mainly because I thought like that's not really, you don't really have to wonder about those. Like they're big titans. This is a show about titans. But the last one where you have like the titans getting increasingly bigger, and then it's a female, like this giant female, looking very victorious at the top, and there's like like an X through her. I have no idea what's going on there. And frankly, I don't really want to delve into that because, or do any more research because I'm scared that I might come across a few spoilers just in Google searching. And I was like, no. But they're definitely kind of old mastery in artistry, I guess. So it looks kind of like the old masters. And by the old masters, Albert Durr, he's an old master. So Rembrandt, I think, would be considered an old master. So, but people from like kind of Germany, that kind of region, I would imagine. Anyway, this is I don't know how long this is going to be, but this is like the reshoot of my analysis of the second part of the end credits of Attack on Titan season 2. And you will not have to wait incredibly long for the next video. I might be able to film it tonight, or tomorrow, so we'll see. But you're not gonna have to wait a week. Like it'll be up before then, which is kind of nice. So anyway, yeah. Till next time. Bye.